People of Ukraine, this is your moment.
Народи українські, це ваш момент.
This is about you, no one else.
Це про вас.
This is about the future you want for your country. This is about the future you deserve.
Це про ваше майбутнє, про майбутнє вашої країни. Це про майбутнє, на яке ви заслуговуєте.
A future in Europe.
Майбутнє Європи.
A future of peace.
Майбутнє миру.
With all of your neighbors.
Майбутнє всіх ваших сусідів.
The free world is with you. America is with you. I am with you. And the destiny you seek lies in Europe.
І ваша доля, як ми вважаємо, знаходиться в об'єднаній Європі.
Ukraine will make Europe better, and Europe will make Ukraine better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Totally unprovoked, right? No Western intervention in Ukraine. Hello to you all. You're watching RHTVLive, and of course, we're talking politics and geopolitics from the beautiful city of Maastricht, which is in the Netherlands, in the south of the Netherlands, to be exact. There we go. There we have the beautiful city of Maastricht. So, we just saw John McCain talk about the future of Ukraine, right? Now, that was in 2013, I believe, or no, 2018. So, wait, I gotta read something here. Important stuff. So anyway, yeah, John McCain was bragging about Ukraine having a good future, right? Well, let's take a look at this here. A peaceful future. This is in Kharkiv, and these are mass graves, right? So let's take a look at this here. Every flag is one life. Every flag is one life. It's sickening to see the machinations of war, right? Sickening. The war needs to stop, Mr. Zelensky. The war needs to stop. I don't want my countrymen and women dying in the fields of Ukraine, right? The war needs to stop. Now, you have 28 points within an agreement that you did not, you weren't at the table, right? But the same thing happened, basically, in Gaza. So you have basically the US and Israel deciding for Gaza. No Palestinian was asked anything, right? So Ukraine, you just need to cool down, right? You lost many lives. Infrastructure is gone, right? And stuff like that. So stop this war. Stop this war, Mr. Zelensky. Step down. That's all you need to do. Step down. And you're not going to get away with this, right? You know that. This is why you prolong the war. This is why you go to Europe, right? This is why you go to the Netherlands and Germany and France and all these other countries to prolong the war, because you, Mr. Zelensky, are corrupt. You may like it or not. I may not be invited to Ukraine. I do not care. Ukraine is a very corrupt country, and that is, well, you're part of it, Mr. Zelensky. You are corrupt. I'd say that right into your face, right? As a Dutchman, I do not want to see my country, men and women, die in the fields of Ukraine. This war needs to stop. It really needs to stop. And yeah, about that, unprovoked Western influence. Well, let's take a look at this here. This is also very interesting. Biden in 1997 recognized that NATO expansion would threaten Russia, that Russia would have to adjust, as the US was the only game in town. So they're not adjusting, Mr. Biden, even though you're demented and you can't remember what you just said. So let's take a look at this here. NATO expansion, right? Over here in Europe, we get to hear, oh, Russia wants to expand. They want the Soviet Union back, this and that. No, it's NATO that's expanding. They're expanding eastward. So let's take a look at Mr. Biden when he still had a brain.
And were you in their spot, you would be the same, in my view, and I would. Where do they go? I had one interesting comment. Our conversation was gone off, was repeated with Levitt. They talked about they don't want this NATO expansion. They know it's not in their security interests and on, and said, well, and if you do that, we may have to look to China. And I couldn't help using the colloquial expression from my state by saying to Zaganoff, lots of luck in your senior year. Good luck. And if that doesn't work, try Iran. I'm serious. I said that to them, and these were, and they know, I knew, they knew, everybody knows that is not an option.
Everybody knows that's not an option. We need to win this war. I don't care how many Ukrainians die on the battlefield. We need to win this war. It's very easy for you to say, right? It's very easy for you to say. You're not sacrificing your own kids. No, it's someone else's kid, right? Someone else's kid needs to go to war. And what Biden basically said when he had a brain, he said Russia and China will come closer to each other, right? If we put sanctions on Moscow and stuff like that. Now that's happening. That's happening. This is when he had a brain, So his brain was functioning, but now it's gone from bad to worse, right? The alliance with Russia and China is strengthening, and now you have North Korea also at the table, right? So, yeah, and Iran, which is also somewhat at the table, somewhat not, you know. So it's a very complex situation in around our beautiful planet. So everyone is like, no, those 28 points, no, this is bad for Ukraine, and Ukraine doesn't have anything to say. But what about the people in Gaza? Huh? No one asked Israel to move a few kilometers, right? You know, it's like, what, really? You know, leave Gaza, yeah? And let aid come into Gaza via the sea or via land. You know, let these people live. You in Israel, you have the notion of how it is, right? Being bombed, right? We saw the missiles come all the way from Iran. You pissed off the Ayatollah, and they struck back. Right? This is what happens when you assassinate high leaders in Iran. Right? Don't do that. Stop doing that. Now Israel and Lebanon, even though there's like this so-called peace agreement between Hezbollah and Israel, Israel is attacking Lebanon again. You know, very, very sad to see what's happening in and around our beautiful planet. Now you may say it's a weird conspiracy theory or whatever. Nope. Al Jazeera is reporting about it, right? About Lebanon, Israel attacking Lebanon. So here we have it. Israel attacks Lebanon's capital, says top Hezbollah official. So I don't know if we're allowed to show this, right? Because last time we went live, we showed a few clips, and the audio was gone. You're not allowed to, you know, show copyrighted stuff. So, yeah, take a look at this channel, right? Al Jazeera, and yeah, attack on Lebanon, Israeli strike in Beirut. There's also a so-called ceasefire in Gaza, which is not really a ceasefire, but a withdrawal, right? Instead of right in front of your nose, they're like, say, 10 meters away from you. You know, if you put it on a scale like that, right? So they just moved like 2 or 3 kilometers backwards, still in Gaza, right? So they have these rings in Gaza. Let's magnify this here. They have these rings in Gaza, like the yellow ring, the blue ring, and the red ring, something along those lines, right? And they're still in Gaza. They're still in Gaza. They need to leave. They need to let these people rebuild. They need to let humanitarian aid come into Gaza, you know? Because right now, the situation has not really changed. Right? There are Palestinians shot in Gaza and also in the West Bank. And very, very sad thing to see. You know, Israel signs a peace agreement, but nope, no peace, no peace. It's sad, you know. These are people we're talking about. I don't care if they're Muslim. I don't care if they're Jewish. I don't care. You're a human being, right? You want to live with dignity, or leave these people alone. Let these people build their own society, right? It's sad. It's really, really sad. And Egypt is bordering Gaza, and no help from Egypt. Nope, nope. There were even Egyptian soldiers on the wall of Rafah who got shot by Israel. And Egypt says, friendly fire. So this is all happening, right? And the situation is not improving in Gaza. So it's sad. It's sad to see that this is happening on a beautiful planet. You know, why? Why is this happening? Can you tell me why? Because I really want to know. I really want to know why the U.S. intervened in Ukraine. Say, for instance, this year, when Biden still had a brain, he's talking at the Council on Foreign Relations, right? We know what the council is about. Pax Americana, and we don't want that, right? We don't want a unipolar world. We want a world where there are sovereign nations that can decide for themselves. They don't need big brother, such as the United States, or a super state such as the EU. We don't need that. We do not need that. Right? We are free human beings. So let's take a look at Biden at the Council on Foreign Relations.
No, I am not the pen pal, but the phone pal of Poroshenko and Arseniy Yatsenyuk and now the speaker. I literally, without exaggeration, the last 4 years I'm on the phone 2 to 3 hours a week with those folks. There's an overwhelming instinct in Europe to say, hey, before you guys became president, this was owned by Russia anyway. They had a puppet there. What difference does it make? What the hell's the difference? Why are you making us engage in these sanctions? You remember last year I was authorized to say we do the second tranche of $1 billion, and he didn't fire his chief prosecutor. And because I have the confidence of the president, I was there and I said, I'm not signing it. Until you fire him, we're not signing, man. Get it straight. We're not doing it. Till you form a new government and you actually bring in someone who will move on this, we're not playing. Not because we're trying to play hardball, because we know if they give an excuse to the EU, there are at least 5 countries right now that want to say, whoa, we want out. At least 5 right now. And so what we're putting together now, is a basic, detailed roadmap of who goes first and who goes second. And there's 2 pieces of this, folks. One is the security guarantees that are to flow from Russia. And 2, the political steps that Ukraine has to take. And some of the steps are very difficult to take. They've already done peace, they've done some other things, but my point is,
very difficult to take, right? So we just saw the mass graves. Very difficult to take. Is this all worth it? I'm speaking to you, Ukrainian, listening. Is this all worth it? Is it worth losing your limbs, your life, your future? Is it all worth it? Because I don't think so. I don't think so. Really pisses me off, right? The war needs to end.
That when you say the Donbass is going to have a special status and you're going to amend your constitution, it's like saying, okay, you know, Texas and Wyoming, Texas is going to have a special status that we don't want because we want Mexico to have more influence in Texas. And we're going to pass that through the United States Congress. So there's some really tough stuff they've got to do. They're willing, I'm convinced they will do it.
And he was basically right. Because if we look at Ukraine, then we see all of the east of Ukraine in hands of Russia. Right? Russia is controlling that. You know, it's sad. It really is sad. Because for their part, you know, Russia is basically protecting these districts such as Kharkiv, you know, Crimea, and all these other regions, right? So they asked for Russian help, you know. So, and Russia is willing to help. You see, prior to all this, right, when the East was still part of Kiev, there was a coup in Kiev, and they basically killed Russian-speaking Ukrainians, and most of them are in the east of Ukraine. And the east of Ukraine says, nope, we're not participating in this. We are autonomous regions within Ukraine. The Donbass and the Kharkiv and all that, you know. We are autonomous regions within Ukraine. So we can decide if we you know, ask Russia to help us. And this is what happened, right? Russia basically said, don't do that, Ukraine. Stop doing that. Don't do that. Nope, don't do that. Do not do that. And they crossed the line, you know, and now Russia is gaining ground in Ukraine. You know, even though it's a pretty long war, 2 years now, right? It needs to end. It really, really needs to end. So, yeah. What else is there to say, right? Let's take a look at Gaza and see what's happening over there in Gaza. Right? Here we go. So this is all to defeat Hamas, right? All these buildings where people used to live, all flattened to the ground, as you can see, right? And there are lines in the background here. You see bulldozers, Israeli bulldozers, right? These are the lines I was talking about. So let's take a look at this here.
Hey everyone, this is Bisan, and this dust behind me is the bulldozers and the Israeli tanks still moving, demolishing homes and erasing places in Gaza Strip despite what they call ceasefire. For your information, during the first phase of the ceasefire, they created something called the Yellow Line. About 58% is under the Israeli control, about 48% is for the Palestinians. And these tanks and bulldozers are entering the 42%, demolishing more lands and more homes every day. They're even bragging about it and photographing it. They're not worried. They're not scared of any international, anything, any international reaction against this. They are violating the ceasefire every single day, and they are lying to you.
It really is sad to see. You know, you have a young Palestinian woman, right? Her future is gone. She needs to, survive on the bit of food that she gets, right? So, I said on Twitter, on X, same as I said just now. So everyone is upset because the 28-point plan, which is bad to begin with, the plan is bad to begin with, right? So they're talking about taking over parts of the east of Ukraine, like Kharkiv, and, keeping Odessa, and not keeping Zaporizhia, maybe, so it's a very complex situation, because Ukraine isn't involved in the 28-point plan, right? I didn't see anyone cry when US and Israel decided what to do in Gaza without consulting the Palestinians, right? So no one cries about that. Nope. But Zelensky doesn't get his money. He doesn't get his weapons. Well, at least Zelensky can fight back, right? The Palestinians have nothing. And the real terror group is underground. Hamas is deep underground in Rafah, right? This was also the last city that Israel tried to take over, and the Palestinians fought back, It's really, really been a bloody war, man. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. We need to leave each other alone, right? That is what needs to happen. You're never going to solve the situation if you use violence, right? You're never going to solve the Ukraine crisis if Europe is giving all sorts of money and military equipment to resist Russia, even though they're invited by the autonomous regions, right? So it's very, very complex and a bad situation that people are in, right? And NATO wants control over the Black Sea. This is why the elections in Romania were basically halted, because you had Georgescu, who was against the NATO base which they're building, and the court said, nope, you are a Russian asset. You're not allowed to participate in the election, right? So Georgescu had a right-hand man named Simeone. And Simeone got a lot of votes. He basically won the election. But within Parliament, they also had elections, and he lost there, even though he had a majority of seats. He lost there somehow, and now you have a pro-EU, pro-NATO Romania, right? And the target for the Black Sea. Yeah? So this is all happening. I'm not making this up. I wish I was, right? Because I want to live in a world of peace. Leave each other alone. We don't want to know what's happening in Syria right now, but we'll give a broad view here, right? So you had a power vacuum when Assad left, and you had a group, HTS, led under al-Jilani, who took over Damascus, basically, right? With help from Turkey, you know. But al-Jilani doesn't have the whole country in his hands, right? You can basically divide the country into separate groups. We have the Druze. The Druze are like south from Damascus, right? We have the Alawites north of Damascus. So we have the Kurds northeast over here, where the oil fields are, and Turkey is basically fighting the Kurds, right? And al-Jilani is also fighting the Kurds because they want the oil fields. Now the Kurds are supported by the United States, which makes it very, very complex here, you know, because basically you're fighting an ally, right? Now there is a small contingent in Palmyra in Syria, which is still in hands of the U.S., right? The contingent of soldiers there, they were left alone by al-Jilani, and still they're left alone, right? So, and basically that is going to be used as a leverage, you know, for al-Jilani to have to work with me because I got a group here and I can disable you within a day, right? So that's used as leverage. And it's a very complex situation in Syria. And it's not getting any better because humanitarian aid ends at Aleppo, basically, and the rest doesn't get much from humanitarian aid. They do get help from their neighbor, Iraq, but other neighbors, such as Lebanon, they have their own crisis to deal with, you know. Even though Hezbollah has stepped aside and you have a general as president, a former general, so you have a civilian government without Hezbollah, and they're still being bombed by Israel, right? I don't care if they're Jew, I don't care if they're Christian, I don't care if they're Catholic, I don't care if they're from Syria, I don't care if they're from Yemen, I don't care about anything, you know. It should not matter. You are a human being. It should not matter where you're from, right? You are a human being, right? So if we look at Yemen, in Sinai, we have the Houthis, and they have control over the Red Sea, not the Black Sea, the Red Sea, right? And they just downed the ship, basically. Let's see if we can find some images of that. Here we go. There we go. Now let's take a look at this here. A ship that has been sunk by the Houthis, right, against the U.S.-Israel war on Gaza. So this is pretty recent. So we have another ship within the Red Sea. Military authorities report maritime debris and oil sighted in the last reported location. The vessel Tutor is believed to have sunk. So, yeah, we have that going on, right? You know, it's insane. It really is insane. We also have the war still going on in Sudan, and yeah, it's not getting any better, right? So in Sudan we have two opposing forces: the SAF, the Sudanese Armed Forces, and the Rapid Special Forces, the RSF, right? And they're fighting each other after they led a coup on the civilian government. So, and the war is still waging in the West, most prominently because there are mines in the West, right? Darfur, you guys probably remember that, Darfur. So there are mines over there, and we have Russians guarding the mines and Ukrainians attacking the mines that the Russians are guarding within Sudan. So, and we have the RSF being fueled by the former general of Gaddafi, who is still in Benghazi, right? And the RSF is fueled by other countries within the Sahel, you know, so that's how they keep the war going. And the war in Sudan needs to stop. It needs to stop. We know what's going on. So we have that going on. We also have Myanmar. We're not forgetting Myanmar, which had a coup a while back. And the people of Myanmar are still fighting the coup-led government in Myanmar. And it's still going on, right? They have sticks and stones, and the government, the army coup-led government, they have machine guns and tanks and planes and warfare material, right? So this is all happening, and we're not looking away. The people in Myanmar deserve to be free. The people in Sudan deserve to be free. The people in Gaza deserve to be free. The people in Israel deserve to be free, right? I know a lot of people dislike Israel. I'm not really a fan of them either, but still, they're people. Netanyahu must come to the Netherlands, in my opinion, right, and stand trial for his egregious crimes in Gaza, in Lebanon, Syria, and in Yemen. Now, over here in the Netherlands, we have the Peace Palace, where you have the ICC and the ICJ, the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice, right? And both are pointing a finger at Russia. Russia bad, Russia this, Russia that. We need to arrest Putin and stuff like that when he's outside of Russia, you know. But Netanyahu, nope. We're not even going to mention Netanyahu. Isn't it weird? You know? Oh, we're going to stand with Ukraine. Yeah, right. How many Ukrainians have died? Is this worth it, Ukraine? Really? Is this worth it? The Russians are your brothers and sisters. You've been part of Russia for I don't know how long, right? I know you're an independent country now, but you are run by criminals. You deserve to be free. You deserve to have a good government that works for the Ukrainian people. And we also deserve that in the Netherlands, right? We also have a group of people. We had new elections, and we used to have a four coalition-led party. We have RHTVLive, Caroline van der Plas, BBB, VVD, and the Sociaal contract, and that four-party coalition fell apart. Wilders left the table, and we had new elections, and now we have D66, the most seats in Parliament, 26, and they can make a coalition, and we're going to get a left-leaning coalition, even though the Dutch overwhelmingly voted for right-led coalition, but nope, we're going to get a left-led coalition, and that is forming. Maybe it will be done by March next year, something along those lines, March, April, and that's how long it usually takes. Who knows how long this will take, because, you know, the parties overall agree with each other, but, you know, one line isn't the correct line, and they say you need to correct that, and you need to correct that, but overall they agree with each other, you know. So that's what's happening in the Netherlands. We were promised the most strict asylum rules, right? The most strict in Europe. Nope, that's gone. That's off the table. We're going to get more asylum centers in the Netherlands, even though we have 300, right? We're going to get more. So, maybe I need to flee my own country, because I do not recognize my own country anymore. It's sad. It really is sad. So Europe is falling apart. For all Canadians watching and Americans, Europe is very, very dangerous. Do not go to Paris and expect the city of light. Nope, you'll see tents. You'll see people scamming each other and stuff like that. You know, it's not what it used to be. Germany is the same. Italy, it's not safe. Spain is not safe. And other places in Europe are not safe anymore because of the refugee crisis, because of the open borders, and because we attack countries such as Libya and Syria. So, and France has a very close relationship with Algeria, so a lot of Algerians in France, you know, and it's sad, it really is sad. There's a Spanish enclave in Morocco, which has a very large fence and stuff. They just climb over it, you know, they don't care. You just climb over it, and now we're in Spain. So this is all happening, and it's sad. It really is sad to see. So you have an enclave here somewhere, which is Spanish, and yeah, lots and lots of people climb over the fences just to be part of Spain. You know, it's because Morocco is a shit country, right? You cannot get a job there. There are no job opportunities in Morocco unless you're part of the inner circle, right? So no job prospects here. Algeria is the same, no job prospects there. Right? Tunisia is the same, no job prospects there. Libya is basically a destroyed country, split into two, actually three, right? You have the Libyan government, you have an international coalition government in Libya, and you have the former general, Haftar, which is in Benghazi. So that is a broken country. And basically, all of North Africa is broken, except for Egypt. Egypt is also a very bad dictatorship, right? They also had a revolution. You remember this, right? So they had the revolution, and it was crushed down by a general named Sisi, and Sisi is now leader of Egypt for quite a while. And yeah, the Egyptians are not free. So if we look at other countries such as Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, they also had army-led coups. Burkina Faso more than once, right? That country is also divided into two. You basically had Burkina Faso was a vassal state of France. So you had a part of the army that chose for France, and a part of the army chose for independence from France, right? So they overthrew the government, and these two factions basically got power, and then the other one overthrew the other one, and you know, now you have basically army-led government over there, which wants independence. So all the foreigners need to go, basically. This is all happening. Right? I'm not making this up. So the same goes for Mali, even though there was one coup, right? And now the army is taking over. And now you're the same. The people are actually behind the leader of Niger and Mali and Burkina Faso. So imagine this, right? You have Victoria Nuland from the State Department involving herself in Ukraine, you know, deciding who is going to get power in Kiev. We've shown the video many, many times of Victoria Nuland talking to Jeffrey Pyatt, which was the U.S. ambassador of Ukraine. They're talking about who's going to get a position in power, right? So they're enacting a coup in Ukraine, but when a coup happens in Niger, which they did not enact, right? Then Victoria Nuland goes to Niger and says, yeah, you need to place back a civil government. It's a lot better, this and that. It's so hypocritical. It's so hypocritical. I hope the White House is listening. And if not, we're going to send this to the White House. The people in the White House need to know what is really happening, right? So Ethiopia wants support. They had an under the table agreement with Somaliland, right, for a port. And Somalia says, nope, we're not going to do that. Nope. So their only port is Djibouti, and they need to pay lots and lots of money that they do not really have, so they want a port. They want access to the sea, and time is running out for Ethiopia. So these are real problems that we're talking about here, right? We're not making this up. And there is also a video where you can see Africa split up into two continents. You can see here the Malawi River goes through most of Africa, and lots of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and stuff in Uganda and in parts of Ethiopia, South Sudan, you know. So who knows? Maybe Africa will split up. Maybe we'll see that. We are seeing that happen in slow motion right now. Let's see if we can find video clips. Here we go. Why Africa is splitting into two, right? Very, very big lines, as you can see, because of the earthquake. And yeah, we're going to get two continents in Africa. So very, very interesting times, right? Africa's new ocean. So this is 1 month ago. Very interesting times. Bangladesh earthquake strikes. This was 2 days ago. We stand with the people of Bangladesh, right? We mourn for your loss of lives, and we stand with the people. We want Bangladesh to be free too, right? And so it's very, very heavy weight on your shoulders if you want a better world. Because not everyone wants a better world, right? Look at Epstein. Yeah? Look at what happened to Epstein. Yeah, he died. He's gone. And all his connections and all his bad things that he's done, it's all swept under the rug. We're not going to talk about it anymore. But why? Why aren't you allowed to know what Epstein has done to all these kids? Why? Why is there so much hypocrisy in this world? I do not understand this. Anyway, let's take a look at Haiti. What is happening in Haiti now? We haven't had a very good look at Haiti. We know what's happening, but what is the situation now on the ground? This was 2 years ago, 5 months ago. We know Haiti is a failed state, but I want to know what happened yesterday in Haiti, which is also 3 years ago, too far back. Oh, highlights, Haiti versus Nicaragua. 2-0 for Haiti. That's pretty good. Even though it's a failed state, they can still play soccer. So, not really recent video of Haiti. So, yeah. We stand with the people of Haiti. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be free. We stand with the Canadians. You deserve to be free. We stand with the Americans. You deserve to be free. Right? You don't deserve a country that's overrun by people from outside India, or name another third world country. You know, you Americans deserve an American job, right? And not some below standard job that any idiot can do. Right? You Americans are special. You Canadians are special. Right? People need to see that they are special. And we aren't that much different. We all live on this planet. We all breathe the same air. Just as JK said, right? We want peace. We've seen enough war. Enough blood has been shed, right? And this is why I don't really go live anymore. You know, it's too much insanity. Try to explain what's happening in the world, right? It's hard. It really is hard. So we want peace. We want dignity back. We want our country back. You know? So, and I bet you Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and what's her name, Candace Owens and whoever else, they cannot beat RHTVLive. Right? And I did not hear Tucker Carlson say anything about the Muslims. And I did hear him say stuff about 9/11, which is a tragedy, which we will never forget, right? Never forget. And he was talking to this Kristen Breitweiser, very smart woman, a lawyer and stuff. So, yeah, we want the truth. I want to know if the American government knows anything about UFOs, about Bigfoot, about parallel dimensions, and whatever else. Be transparent. That is what we deserve. We deserve a government that's transparent to us. Right? We pay you guys. It really pisses me off. Pisses me off. So this is very interesting. Kristen Breitweiser, I advise you to watch this here. Now, normally we'd play this, but last time we played some videos. YouTube said you are playing copyrighted videos. You're not allowed to do so, and you haven't access or whatever else. I don't know. It's stupid. You can look it up on YouTube, but you cannot play it on Restream or StreamYard because of copyright regulated rules. And it's stupid. It really is stupid. Anyway, check this out. 9/11 Widow speaks out. Very interesting video. So there's a lot more to tell, but yeah, I think I've said enough, right? We just showed Ukraine and the situation there. We just showed Gaza, the situation there. You know, I don't see any other person doing this, right? Isn't anyone slightly intrigued by geopolitics? Is it so boring to you? You know, these are all questions, what I question myself. You know, I just want peace. peace of mind, right? Peace of my wallet, peace of my country. That's what I want. So I hope you want the same, because most people are lost, really, really lost. Or they're hyped up on drugs or whatever else, and most people are lost. There are tons and tons of channels talking about Superman dolls, Batman dolls, Flash, Green Lantern, you know, loads of channels about that, and loads of views. But when you talk geopolitics, now that's too complex, too boring. So yeah, should I keep on doing this? It's up to you, right? It's up to you. It's up to the viewers. So let's see. Mr. Green Thumb has been here, and at least $250 not free. Nuts everywhere. Yep. I want to be free. I want freedom. That is what I want. Right? I want freedom. I want truth. I want prosperity. I want economic prosperity. I don't want to live in poverty because my government shuts off the gas, and even though they export gas in other European countries. This is happening. It's insane. It really is insane. And the Dutch government also said there are drones above airports and stuff. Well, there were drones in Belgium too, but they identified these drones as police helicopters, right? So they're hiding something here in the Netherlands, and they're trying to scare the public. I want to see these radar images and stuff. So, audio AM radio, what? Let me check. Yeah, I cannot help it. I have these headphones, and yeah, I don't know if they're working. I'm just talking to you know. So it's important, just exhausting after years of it. Yeah, indeed, indeed. The chewing gum, bubble gum thing. Yeah, we've shown that many, many times. But as I've said before, right, we get warnings from YouTube saying you're not allowed to play this. You have no authority to do so. Okay. Yeah. Immigration and world poverty explaining with gumballs, does immigration really help the poor? Watch that video, because I'd rather play it, but I also can lose my channel by doing so. That's how frequently we were warned, right? So, yeah, watch that video. Just type in bubblegum refugees. There you go. And you'll see the whole video. So, I think I've said enough for today. I thank you all for watching, right? And yeah, I hope that people will wake up and see that their government is basically robbing them. You deserve to be free. You are a human being and deserve to be free. We'll see each other next time. And, yeah, I hope you guys share this all over the world.